Today, what's been really on my heart a lot during this particular holy day season is the dance of the darkness and the light. Um, this season, when you think about it, we had Hanukkah at the beginning of the month, we had the solstice, we had Christmas, and today we actually begin the days of Kwanzaa. And with all of these, there's the lighting of candles, there's a remembrance of the light, which is so powerful and so beautiful, because Jesus talked about that we are the light of the world, and to let that light shine and radiate beautifully and magnificently. And that is so true. And what's been on my heart recently is the idea that the darkness doesn't necessarily get rid of the light or destroy the light, but that it defines the light. I read that quote by Brene Brown recently, and it just struck me, and it's been on my heart this whole time. The darkness doesn't destroy the light, it defines the light. And so I just want to share that with you, just my thoughts about it and how I've been kind of working with it this what I call the holy day season. So again, all traditions celebrate the light, and what we notice, for example, when we did our candle lighting service, which was really beautiful, we did it a couple of weeks ago, and the room was mostly dark during the service, and how the darkness of the room actually accentuated the light, how that darkness allowed the light to shine even more brightly. And so, looking at that, it's like the darkness is, to me, just as precious as the light is. And we haven't always thought that way in New Thought, Ageless Wisdom. I remember when I first got into the teaching, basically people, because, sometimes we identify darkness with those times of suffering, those times of pain. And when I got into this movement, people didn't want to talk about that. They didn't want to talk about anything other than what we would call the positive. They didn't want to talk about anything other than the light. And I understand that. And I think it was a necessary place to be in consciousness. However, over the years, we've evolved to the place where now we're much more willing to look at those places of the darkness, because what we know is by exploring those places, we discover more the light within ourselves even. I think we're coming to a new place in consciousness around this. As I was preparing for this talk, I found this quote by a rabbi, actually, Rabbi David Zaslow. And he says, although it is light that permits us to see, it is in the darkness that we can see the farthest. Isn't that interesting? Because he talks about how at night, when we can see the stars, those are light years away. Think of how far away the stars are. And yet in the darkness of the light, we can see all of those stars. And in a really beautifully dark night where it's clear, we can see the Milky Way. We can just see so much in that place of darkness. And during the daytime, which is beautiful too, because we need the light as well, obviously, we need both darkness and light, that in the daytime, we don't get to see those stars. We have a different kind of a light that we see during the day. So as I was sitting with all of this, I was sitting with it like, okay, what are the mystics and metaphysicians? What's the metaphysical take on this? And what became really clear to me as I was being with it, as I was researching it, is that the light symbolizes what we might call the conscious mind, and the darkness symbolizes that or subconscious mind, or what Ernest Holmes would call the subjective mind, what some might call the unconscious mind, whatever. But it's that realm. The conscious mind is that place of I'm thinking consciously, I know this consciously, I'm setting a conscious intention. It's all about conscious and will and intention. And the subconscious is really what powers our lives, honestly. It's the subconscious that rules our life, because in the subconscious are all of those thoughts and feelings that we have absorbed throughout the years, and those thoughts and particularly those feelings are what manifest in our life. You hear me? So that when I consciously, for example, let me give you an example. I consciously can set an intention and I can affirm and I can do my affirmative prayer and I can meditate on it and all of that good stuff, you know. And if that doesn't filter down into my subconscious, it doesn't really have any power. I hate to tell you that. But you know, what I really truly know and believe, and beyond believing, knowing, that is what powers my life. So, for example, I can set an intention to be more loving in my heart, as Howard Thurman talks about. I want to be more loving in my heart. So I set this intention to be more loving in my heart. However, you know, then I go out during the day, and perhaps there's someone that I've had a hard time forgiving. Have you ever had a hard time forgiving someone in your life? You know, perhaps there's someone I'm having a hard time forgiving, and perhaps there's this part of me ruled by the subconscious that says, I was going to use another word, but I'll say, heck no, I'm not going to, I'm really not willing to forgive that person. It was just too bad, the stuff that he or she did to me. I'll love all these other people, however. I'll live that intention by loving all these other people. But do you see what happens here? It's what I think Jesus meant when he talked about a house divided against itself. The conscious mind is affirming one thing, and the subconscious mind is actually acting upon all of those old thought patterns, all of those old feelings, all of that old stuff that has been ruling us throughout our lives until we got in this teaching, right? And then what I want to acknowledge is that all of us have shifted magnificently through these teachings. And what I know for myself is there's always farther to go. There's always more to go. So I look at what's the practical implication of this. It's that, you know, I want to experience those times of darkness in a new way. I want to experience those times where maybe I'm ashamed of myself, or, you know, I know we don't talk about shame and all that stuff, but there are times when those things happen, when I'm not particularly happy with the way I did something or whatever, or I'm noticing that there are places in me where I'm not as loving as I could be, or I'm noticing there's places in me where I don't appreciate myself very much. Does any of this resonate with you? There might be places in me where, you know, I'm going like, well, I would love to do that, but you know, I'm just not strong enough. I don't have the education, or I don't have the family background, or blah, 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 blah. You know, the voice that comes up and tells you all that stuff, you know, all the reasons that you can't be great, that you can't live your vision, that you can't whatever, you know. And maybe some of you aren't experiencing that, and that's great. You've moved beyond it. And I would guess that most of us experience some kind of subconscious remnants of old stuff, you know, that we're still working with. So what I say is, as the darkness comes, because I know I started with that a few minutes ago, and you're probably thinking, where is she going with this? But when the darkness comes, that I get to see farther into my subconscious. That's how I practically relate to that quote by Rabbi David, that, you know, in the darkness we see farther. When those times of darkness come, or when those dark nights of the soul happen, that the mystics, you know, they welcome the dark night of the soul, because that's when they get to look within and see, what do I need to work with here? What's calling me to greater emergence, to greater manifestation, to greater expression in my life? To me, that's what the darkness does. That's the gift of the darkness. You know, it's not meant to stay there and wallow in it, but what it's doing is it's enabling us to see where the light is pulling us, where the light wants to express more. Do you hear me? Where the light wants to express more. So I appreciate the darkness and the light. I appreciate all of that. And the other part of the darkness in terms of metaphysics and mysticism is that the darkness is the depth of spiritual potential hidden in the void of infinite possibility. I'm going to say that again. The darkness is the depth of spiritual potential hidden in the void of infinite possibility. In other words, in that place of darkness, as I was just talking about, is spiritual potential. That, to me, that's the purpose of the darkness. And whereas he talks about the light is more in the realm of manifestation. I would say the light is the manifestation of that potential in the external world. So, I'm just so appreciative of darkness. And over the years, I've become more and more appreciative of it. And when I first started on this journey, it was all about light. And it is still it's all about the darkness and the light. So I didn't know if I was going to do this with you or not, because it seems like it might be kind of corny, but I'm going to do it anyway, because you seem like a receptive group and a group that would accept me, even though I might do something corny. So a friend of mine, first of all, I have to preface this with saying, I was a Roman Catholic nun for 9 years, and which was a beautiful time, a time of depth, a time of meditation, a time of mysticism. And I was in a community, the Immaculate Heart Sisters in Southern California, that was very almost new thought. So I was blessed to be in that kind of a community. Anyway, so one of my very dear friends, minister friends, gave me gave me as a gift these two little nuns. And one of them says good habit and one of them says bad habit. Now, why am I showing you this? Because notice the good habit is in white and the bad habit is in black. Now, I told her, because we were at a store when she was going to buy this for me. And I told her, I said, I don't really want that because I don't equate, bad things with black and with white, good with white and all that stuff. But she insisted. She said, no, I got to get this for you, because she always gets me these gag nun gifts. So anyway, so I got home, and then what I noticed, this is the interesting thing. What I noticed is that these two are magnetized. They stick to each other. And so I thought, as I was preparing this talk, I thought, oh, this is kind of like the idea of the darkness and the light. They kind of go together. They kind of stick together like these two little nuns, which I haven't even put salt and pepper in yet, and I've had them for months. But anyway, I just think that's such a great representation of the darkness and the light, that they go together, you see. And so often people want to get rid of the darkness. So here, what I want to encourage you to do is, when those difficult times come, I want to encourage you to be willing to feel the feelings that come up with those difficult times, to really let yourself sink into those feelings, not for the purpose of wallowing in them, absolutely not, but for the purpose of witnessing them. The Vipassana practice, the Buddhist practice, to witness those feelings, feel them, and at the same time, notice you're feeling them. It's a very simple practice. And when you start practicing it during meditation, and also during times outside of meditation, when you start practicing it, eventually what I notice in my life is now I'm doing it all the time. So that right away I catch the feelings when they come up, whereas I can think of years ago that I didn't even know what I was feeling sometimes. I don't know if you can relate to that, but years ago, I didn't even know what I was feeling sometimes. I just knew I didn't like it, but I didn't know what it was. But over these years of practicing witness consciousness, practicing feeling it, not being afraid, because here's the deal. If I'm afraid to feel it, what I am saying is that feeling is more powerful than who I am. That feeling is more powerful than my God self. Obviously, that's not true. None of our feelings are more powerful than the essence, the perfection that we are. So if I can't be strong enough to look at those feelings, I'm giving the universe a message. Wow, these are so big and bad that, I'm not the effect of them. And so that's one practice. And then, of course, look into that. That's part of the practice, but you don't stop there. Look at what wants to be revealed here. What's wanting to be revealed? Michael Beckwith has a great question that he asks, particularly in his book, Spiritual Liberation, the chapter on the dark night of the soul. He said, you can ask yourself, what if this situation never ever changes, if these feelings never ever change, what would I need to know to be at peace? That's going to take you to what's wanting to be revealed here. What do I need to know to be at peace? I had something happen, and I don't even remember what it was now, a couple of weeks ago. But I thought to myself, oh, God, that was a horrible, oh, I remember what it was now. But anyway, I thought to myself, oh, that was not a good decision. That was a pretty bad decision. And I noticed old feelings of, I'm supposed to do everything perfectly came up. Old feelings of shame or guilt started to come up, and I just sat with it, just like, okay, I wasn't thrilled, honestly, but because they didn't feel good, but I just sat with it. And I'm telling you, in a space of like 15 minutes, they were gone. And I could have spent days, weeks feeling that way previously. But because I could sit with it, be with it, witness it, and then looking at what wants to be revealed here, what is it that I need to know? And of course, for me, it always goes back to, I know that I'm enough. I know that I'm God. I know that my essence is divine. That's always what it comes back to. And so those old feelings come, that they evolve into self-confidence, self-knowing, knowing the divine self of me. So that's a powerful practice, witness. And then what is it that's wanting to be revealed here? What do I need to know in the midst of this? And I guarantee you, more often than not, it's going to be a quality that you can strengthen in your life. It's already there because you are divine. And it's time to activate it to an ever greater degree. You hear what I'm saying? So, and then the third step is affirmative prayer. So be willing to feel it and look at it. Ask what wants to be revealed here, what wants to emerge here. What do I need to know in order to be at peace here? And then whatever it is that you need to know, you go to your affirmative prayer and you affirm it. It's already within you. And that's why in our affirmative prayer, it's always, for me anyway, and what I teach my practitioner students and regular other students as well, is it's always in the present tense. I am the magnificence of spirit. I am abundant. I am love. I am, I am, I am. Always present tense, because it's who and what you are. You are amazing beings of light and love. You are cosmic beings, You don't have to be hampered by any human situation. The darkness will never, ever take you over. The darkness will never get rid of the light you are. It'll dance with it, but it's never going to get rid of it, ever, ever, ever. Because there's the power within you, the power of the infinite, to be with that darkness and to create out of it something new. In our metaphysical teachings too, the conscious mind is that, of course, that mind that thinks and so forth. The subconscious mind, is the place where we plant the seed of intention. That's in the darkness. Think about it. We don't, seeds are planted in the dark. They grow in the dark. The embryo grows in the dark. Even when creatures that what's the word I want to use? Can't think of the word, but anyway, like chickens and so forth, they come from eggs, the dark. There's a darkness. And there's, in birthing, in any of these situations, there's a little bit of challenge. Those of you who are mothers know the challenge when you give birth to a child. I'm sure for the child, it's not, for the baby, it's not exactly comfortable either to come through that passageway. And even when a plant, the seed has to crack open, it has to push up through the soil. A baby chick has to peck at the egg, I think it's like 300 and some times to get out of that egg. So there's always some kind of challenge, to come forth from that darkness into the light. I say to you today, take that challenge. Be willing to welcome it. Don't push it under the rug. Pushing dirt under the rug, the dirt's still there. It's not gone. And it's the same thing when we push, I'm not saying we all have dirt, but when we push that old stuff back down, we press it, it's still there and it's still running our lives. So bless the darkness. Take a look at what wants to be revealed in the midst of the darkness. Pray on it. Have someone that you trust and know. In our community, we have prayer partners, or if we have practitioners at Agape with prayer chaplains, whatever, have someone pray with you about it. Have someone know that truth for you about it, so that whenever you're kind of slipping, you can go, hey, text them, say, hey, keep me in prayer. I love texting. It's a great way to do it, Hey, I'm going through this, keep me in prayer, type of a thing. Everybody I know that's a minister, a practitioner, a spiritual chaplain, we all lean on each other. We all do. So be willing to lean on your spiritual partners, on your spiritual community. Lean on your community. It's there for you to know this truth, to assist you as you emerge from those places of darkness into the light. And then it's the dance, I just say to you today, and I'm going to wind up here. I just say to you today, to appreciate both of them, to let go of any resistance to those dark times. Let go of any resistance. They always work out absolutely perfectly. They always work out fine. And if you look back in your life, take time maybe today or tomorrow, look back in your life at times that were difficult. You made it through, obviously, because you're here, What were the blessings that came out of that? I had some stuff this summer. I mean, like 3 major things in 1 week. And so many blessings came out of that. So many that at the time, didn't seem like they were going to be wonderful things. My house got flooded, the pipes upstairs. And then a couple of days later, my car window was bashed in. And then the day that got fixed, the hybrid system in my Prius just conked out totally. So, all of those things are going on, at the same time, and everything worked together for good in a beautiful way. I won't go into detail because you don't need to hear that now, and I've been talking long enough, and I said I was going to stop. So I am going to stop and just tell you how beautiful you are, how magnificent you are, that you have the whole world, you have the whole cosmos within you. You have the power within you to be in the dark, to be in the light, to embrace it all with non-resistance and with great love in your heart. So I'm going to just take a minute now and lead us into a very brief prayer before I stop. So I invite you to be with me, to take a breath. And I'm in such deep gratitude for this beautiful, vibrant spiritual community. I'm in such great gratitude for the rain I can hear outside, and for all of the goodness and the givingness of spirit that's ever present. It's everywhere, in and through and as all. It's the life of each and every one of us. Imagine that, spirit living its life as each one of us. So our soul can say, thou art what I am what thou art. The presence of God, the power of God, the allness of God, every gift, every quality, every attribute of God fully orbed within us. And so I bless the darkness within us. I bless the light within us, and simply claim and accept and know for each of us the willingness to shine the light, the willingness to explore the dark, the willingness to bring forth the all good of God, the vision of the divine in us that wants to be revealed, that wants to be manifested. For we are here to bring heaven to earth during these times that seem chaotic, that seem dark. The reality is that everything is unfolding exactly as it needs to for the evolution of consciousness on this planet. So I give thanks that we are individuals who are willing to participate in this evolution by evolving our own souls. I give thanks for this. I claim it to be already true. I claim it to be done. And in this awareness, I release this word. I let it go. I let it be. God's got this. All is well. And so it is. Amen.
Pray with me when my heart is sinking fast and holding on to what I thought would last. Oh, lift me up when I can't let go. I'm wrapped in love when you pray with me. Pray with me when things turn upside down and all seems lost with no light to be found. Oh, lift me up and I will find a greater peace when you pray for me. Pray with me and I will make it through. And from this place I can see what is true. There is a blessing in every breath and a love that's real beyond the veil of death. Pray for me, oh, pray for me. I pray for you, and you pray for me.
Moving into our own inner being, taking some time to be in the stillness, be in the quietude of the eternal nature of our being. And we do this together with each other in this community. And during our meditation this afternoon, you can use a quality of the Spirit, like peace or grace, harmony, love, to guide you back to the present moment when you find yourself in the future or in the past, or involved in a story or thought. We lovingly guide ourselves back to some quality of God, some quality of the Spirit that will help us to refocus and re-anchor, coming closer and closer to that true nature of our being. And we seek during this meditation to come in contact with that part of ourselves that is eternal, untouched by outside circumstances, whole, perfect and complete right now. And we do this simply by being still, being open, and being willing. Noticing where is your attention. Lovingly guiding yourself back with a quality of the Spirit. Quality of God. Every breath we feel ourselves pulled closer and closer to the reality with a capital R of our own being. And as you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open, bringing your vision back into your space and into this community.